Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Happy Thursday, Bravo Nation. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. It's a good day to have a great day. You gotta turn your volume off, Mom. Sorry, y'all. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Bravo with Sheila Network for another great night of conversation, of sharing, and of empowerment. So on tonight, hey there, Ane, as always, our number one brother, Ane, is in the house. Like, subscribe, and share. Invite a friend. Hey, Von Eric, where's your faith? What's good? What's popping? Welcome, welcome, and thank you for being on with us tonight. I am happy and excited. I hope you guys have had a great week thus far. I hope you had an amazing day today. And I am glad that you took time to spend with us. So, again, if you don't mind, like, subscribe, share, invite a friend. Go grab a snack and let's get ready to chat. Do what we do on Thursday nights here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. I'm always grateful and humble that the Queen Bee, Pastor Sheila Ingram herself, yields the captain's chair to me every Thursday night to allow me to bring in some good people to have good conversation and share some amazing things. So on tonight, I'm excited because we're going to have some of my fellow she authors join us on tonight. Our ladies are in the house, and we are going to talk some good talk. They're going to share from their wells of life and their experiences. So each of them is going to come in their own way, and they are going to be sharing from their book. I too am going to pop up some poetry. I feel inspired. You know, we've been sharing every week a little something, something. So we're going to keep in that flow on tonight. So on tonight, again, I want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share. Invite somebody on. And again, just grateful to see our number one Bravette Ane and our brother, none other than the Von Eric. Where's your faith in the house with us on tonight? I appreciate you all taking out your time to spend these 60 minutes with us. And I always hope and pray that they are impactful, that there is some empowerment, that you are enlightened, that you are strengthened, and that you leave here with some resolve. We want to have real conversation with real resolutions. We don't want to just talk and walk away exhausted. We want to talk and walk away with the resolution. So on tonight, like I said, I want to welcome to the stage and to the show two people that are very dear to me on this evening. In my life, I've been blessed, and I'm grateful to have along with me on tonight my sister from another mister. She hails from North Carolina. I'm going to let her introduce herself as well. But she goes by the name of Michelle Roach. So we're going to bring her to the platform on tonight. Hang tight with me one moment. And here she comes. Hey, Michelle, welcome to the stage. How are you, sis?
Good evening. Good evening. I am great. I am great. And I'm glad that you recognize that I am from the great state of North Carolina, AKA the Bull City, Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, we fight all the time. We fight this. NYC is where she really needs to be, but we're gonna let it ride. She is, like I said, she is my sister from North Carolina, the distinguished Toastmaster Michelle Roach, and I love her so dearly. God just plopped her in my life, and it feels like she's been here all along. So I guess we're stuck with each other. I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent, but we're gonna ride it out till the wheels fall off, and then we're gonna crawl the rest of the way. So thank you for joining us on tonight. And I also want to bring up the next guest that's going to join us tonight. She is no stranger to the Bravo with Sheila Network. She is no stranger to the Thursday night platform, and she is definitely no stranger to me. Why? Because she is what? My mama, the woman who literally birthed me into the earth. You know her, you love her as Pastor Rosa, also known as Mama Rosa. However, you know her, she's a Rosa. So we're going to add her on tonight. Come on up, Mom, and say hello to the good people.
Hello, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be
You
back
gotta unmute.
on. So good to spend Thursday with you guys.
All right, all right. So we have Michelle Roach and we have Pastor Rosa, Mama Rosa in the house on tonight, and we are glad and grateful that they are here. So tonight we're gonna share, like I said, we have been sharing from our books, from our experiences. These ladies have taken time to put their hearts onto paper, and they have added to the list of authors their names, and I'm so grateful and so appreciative, and I have both of their books. So on tonight I want them to share something from their book so that you can hear their hearts beat, so that you can learn something from their experiences, and so that you can also walk away with a feeling of empowerment, knowing that trouble don't last always. Whatever you're going through, you're going to bounce back from, and there is still more on the other end of your journey. So I want to yield the mic at this moment to my sister girl, Michelle. Welcome, Deborah Prince. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us on tonight. It is a pleasure to have you here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. It is Thursday night, and I am your host, Lady Dawn B, and it is a pleasure to serve you on tonight. We have our authors, our she authors, I call them, our poets, and our words of wisdom coming through on tonight. So I want to yield my mic to my sister Michelle, and I want to ask her to introduce herself. Tell us the name of your book.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Michelle Roach. This is my first book that I wrote 3 years ago. The title of my book is Simply Love. And it's all about relationships from the moment that you look into each other's eyes to you decide, hey, you go your way, I go my way. And that's not always a negative. Sometimes we have to make a decision that impacts us, our children, our family, whoever our relationship is going to impact. So sometimes you have to decide: are we going to stick it out, stay together? What's best for the two of you.
Well, thank you for sharing. And again, her book is called Simply Love. And I always love when we talk about this book. And she mentions about, sometimes you got to go your way and sometimes I got to go my way. I like to call it the gift of goodbye. It's not always the easy thing, and it's not always, but you're right. It doesn't, we tend to think that saying goodbye always has to be a negative, or it always has to end with harsh words, or broken feelings, and in some type of anger, or any of those ways. But truthfully speaking, when you are mature in your life and within yourself, and when two people can come together into an agreement, goodbye is not always so hard, and it's not always such a bad thing. Do you agree, Michelle, or do you disagree? How do you feel about goodbyes?
Well, I agree. I was fortunate enough and blessed by God to have a man in my life. We're divorced now, but we decided it wasn't about our children. We are the ones who made that decision. So we decided what's best for the kids. We wasn't going to have a negative relationship. We wasn't going to have the children say, oh, this is what daddy did, this is what mama did. No, we came together as one and made sure our children had what they needed when they needed it. We're still friends today. And I
And
was
that's
blessed
amazing.
that God doing that.
And that's amazing, and it's a good thing, because a lot of people separate break up, divorce, go their separate ways, and there's so much anger and residual, unresolved things that go on that you cannot coexist peacefully and in harmony. And we talked about this. Our stories are very similar and the same. My ex-husband and we are. I would say, well, we say we are best friends, and it may sound strange to some people, but I valued our friendship within our relationship. And that to me was the most important thing to try to salvage. I think it wasn't the romantic, and I mean, to tell me how you feel about this, if you agree or if you experienced this. I could get over, it was easier for me to get over the heartbreak of the romantic relationship breaking up, but it was the friendship I found. That's what pained me, to have to let go. That was the breaking up that friendship, because it was a person that I really did it. I still, I respect. But did you find that separating or compartmentalizing um, the difference between the romantic side of your relationship versus your friendship, was that easy to separate? Was it hard to separate? I'm sorry, hold on. We have a comment, and they said, I like that the separation doesn't have to mean goodbye. It doesn't. It just means we have to end this part of our journey, but we don't have to always leave each other's lives. And especially when there are children involved. I know my son's father and I, my ex-husband, one thing we said was that no matter what, we were going to do what we needed to do
That's right.
to remain in a healthy space for our son, because we didn't want him to grow up watching us fight and argue and be bitter. And that was even in marriage, and so that's to say every goodbye. You made a very good point. But did you find it hard, or was the journey in separating, or did you separate the romantic from the friendship? Like, what was that experience like for you?
Well, once we made that decision, like I said, the children came first, but it took some time. It took some time for him, took some time for me as well. Again, like you said, to separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
But I thank God because we're still friends. His family didn't turn their back on me and say, "Oh, you the ex." We're still
Right.
family today. I go to family reunions, and a lot of times people say that must be God. I could never do that. But yes, it's all God. But
You're
yes,
right about that.
yes, it's all God.
You right about all of that, because it does. And I find that it seems like it's so unusual. Like, it does take a special kind of person, to be in our situations. But I feel that, we should we should be able to normalize getting along, in divorce and in separation. And I, like you, my ex-husband's family, we're still family. They don't look at me as like, you the ex. I'm still the cousin. I'm still the auntie. I'm still, whatever it is, I'm still that. Just because our relationship ended didn't mean that, everybody cut us off. And my family is the same with him. That's still their brother-in-law. That's still my mother's, son. You know, um, and it's amazing, and it does take God. It does take God. But we do, like you, we do family vacations. We were just talking about the holidays coming up, like what we gonna do. And I mean, and he is with someone else now, a wonderful young lady who, I'm actually trying to get them to come on the show so that we could talk about blended families, from the adult aspect. Most of the time we talk about it from the kids, but we want to talk about it from the adult aspect, what it takes to create that blended family when other people come into your life and how you graft them in. So, I'm looking forward to hearing your poem, whichever poem you're going to read on tonight. And thank you for sharing thus far.
But
I will,
if I
hmm?
may, Don,
Yes.
because my ex-husband, he remarried. He
Hmm.
remarried. And just to show you how God works, him and his wife and I were good friends. Again, people say that's all God. We even went to a Joyce Myers conference, stayed in the same hotel room. you know how we do, the road
Mm-hmm.
thing. But we had a wonderful time, and um, she passed away. And but when I became ill,
Mm-hmm.
she called me. She made sure my children didn't want for anything. So she's missed. But I love her like, she was a sister. I didn't have any problems with her. I didn't say, oh, la, 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 la,
Right.
God blessed him with a wonderful wife and me, a wonderful friend. So I just thank God for that.
And that is a beautiful thing. And I feel you. I feel your heart, and you and I have talked about this. It's one of the things that we bond on, is we don't have the other woman syndrome. We have, you know, uh, Natasha is her name, and it's funny. She and I went to high school together. So we knew, well, I knew her before I knew him. And I just, who knew that in life, we would end up here in this way. And she is, my son's, we say we share bonus sons, because her son, I consider him like mine, and my son she considers like hers. And it's not from the aspect or the angle of, like you said, with the children, making sure that her taking them on, and caring for them like they were her own. It's a lot of us use our significant others' kids as a way to get closer to them. So it is a blessing when someone else comes into our ex's lives
Mhm.
that loves them enough to love their children, but still loves their children just because they are individuals. So I totally understand that. And when we do that show, you're gonna come on and co-host with me. That's what we're gonna do. Because our experiences are the same. We're gonna normalize getting along. That's what we're gonna do.
But Don, it's a matter of respect.
Right. Right.
Respect. From the time you met him, from the time I met him, it was a matter of respect. I respected him for who he was, where he came from, his family, where he was going. I stood right there strong. He was a Marine Corps, he was off doing his thing. And when we used to write letters,
Right.
I wrote letters. But even when we separated, it's a matter of respect. Nothing changed. It's a
Right.
matter of respect. Was our heart broken? Yes. But
Excuse
it
me.
was all about our children, making sure that there was no, oh, daddy, mommy, no. We stuck it out. Thanks be to God, it wasn't any stepchildren when his wife,
Right.
Veronica, came into the picture. She never called them, oh, this is my stepchild.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about respect.
And you're right. That is so key. And like I said, we gonna have you on when we talk about that subject. We definitely gonna, we got some stuff to share. We got something to say. We gonna say it with our chest that day. But I want to shift gears a little bit, because I want to make sure that we honor and acknowledge and give way to this amazing queen. She is such a blessing, and so the word I want to say, she's so pure. She's not perfect, but she's so pure. And I don't say that just because she is my mom, because she literally is my mother. But I've had the pleasure, in some senses of, she watched me grow up, but I've had the pleasure of watching her grow, from the other side. So I thank God for her. And she is going to share on tonight, also a piece from her book. So I want to give her space to come on and greet the people, tell them the name of your book, and a little bit about what prompted you to write it. So y'all again know her. Y'all give it up for Mama Rosa, aka or Pastor Rosa, aka Mama Rosa. My mama. I'm four of her four. That's how we do it here. Come on, Mom.
Oh my goodness. Um, well, the name of my book is Letters to Our Mom. And the book is about, um, I co authored with two other young women, and we wrote about our mothers who are deceased. Um, Actually, Pache bullied me into writing, because she'd asked me several times to write. It was very difficult for me to say yes, because of the nature of my relationship with my mother. My mother passed away before I was a year old. So that meant, delving into uh, some wounds, opening up doors that I really didn't want to go into. But eventually I just said, okay, and I cried some and, had to walk away sometimes. Um, and I had to do research. Then you find out things about other people, and then you're able to put things to pieces. So it was really an experience. It really was an emotional experience. But I'm on the other side of it, and I normally, like, if I have to sing or I have to preach or something, I don't usually read or go back and play. I just leave it. Whatever I did, that was it. But I did read my portion of the book as well as the other young ladies, and I put in the book what I wanted to put in the book. I was satisfied with the love that was in the book, because my um that was my intention, was to be able to deal with um my pain, the reality of what happened, because parents are not perfect. She was once my age, my dad was once my age, so they had their life, they had their own situations. And so, being confronted with that was, an experience, but I accepted that it's part of it. And, it's like Michelle was speaking about with her situation. And it's not just respect, it's also forgiveness, and you have to forgive, and it's not an overnight thing. You just have to make the decision, and so as I was researching information and everything, I found that I had to forgive my dad, for a lot of things. And my father was the only parent that I had. And, and I got angry, because this was my mother, so you cannot take away from her. I don't care what anybody says. You can't take away from her, the images that I have of my mother. I'm saying she wasn't perfect. She was my mother, so when and finding out some unpleasantries, I was very upset, with my dad. But I came back to the conclusion, he's my father. He's my father. I still love him. He's my father. The person that he was. I can't be too angry with him, because he took care of us. He provided for us. He took us to church. He introduced me to God. I'll be forever grateful, to him for that. But I had to deal with that. I had to deal with the fact that my dad was not perfect, just as my children will find out that me and their dad was not perfect. So it's not just, it's forgiveness, and it's not easy. But when you're serving God, you can go through it. You could go through that and come out on the other side.
That was really good, Mom. I'm gonna try. Well, I was going to say I'm gonna call you Pastor Rosa, so I'm calling you Mom. Really good. I want to ask you. There's a saying. I've heard people say, what you don't know won't hurt you. Um, and in listening to you talk about forgiveness and writing this book and the things that you discovered as you were unpeeling layers, because I'm sorry, I don't remember if you mentioned that my mom grew up without her mom, because she died when she was very young, so she didn't have that. My grandfather remarried, but she did not have her mother. There's a difference. There are differences. Um, and throughout this journey of writing the book, and you mentioned about forgiveness because of the things that you learned along the way that I'm sure filled some pieces of your puzzle that maybe you questioned growing up, and maybe some that you didn't even know that you maybe should have questioned. So the saying that what we don't know won't hurt us. I don't think that that's necessarily true. Um, do you find that that is applicable to you in this case as you went through this journey of discovering um, about your mom and whatever transpired in her life and along with your dad's, the things that you discovered along that way? Because you mentioned about you had to forgive through it. So, would you agree or disagree that what you don't know won't hurt you?
Well, sometimes, well, I think people, I think you need to know the truth. I really do. I think you need to know the truth, um, because we have to take the bitter with the sweet. It's part of growing. It's a part of growth. It's part of maturity. Um, for me, not to know would not have helped me to grow in the area that I did grow in. It helped me to develop. I can handle this. I can do this. It challenged me to grow. Not without looking at it and saying, okay, well, I have children and I'm not perfect. I made mistakes. That had nothing to do with it. It's just a fact of life. Finding out that the thing was my father was unfaithful. It was an uncommon. It's a common thing, but it's personal when it hits your family. When it hits you. And just the the events. The things that happened. During the time that my mom was sick. And then I have to realize my dad was not as strong or whatever. Then you go into a whole psychological thing, and trying to diagnose him and whatnot. And sometimes you don't want to know certain things, but to find out that your parents are human just like you're human is a good thing. It's a good thing. So, no, it's not better not to know as far as I'm concerned.
I tend to agree. I think it's better that we, tell the truth as much of it that we know. And also, I think we have to be mindful to gauge how much truth a person can handle at a particular time. And sometimes you have to dish the truth out in portions, because if the weight of the truth is too much for a person to bear at one time, it will break them in ways that it will take a long time, or it'll be really hard for them to heal and recover. So I think that, sometimes truth has to be dished out in layers, but still the whole truth needs to be told. So, thank you for that. And I'm sure that this discovery that you experienced, um, while writing this book, and I pushed my mom to write this book too. I guess me and Pache kind of double teamed her. I told Pache I wanted my mom, it was important to me. I feel her heart often. So it was really important to me that she write this book and that she partake in it for her own healing. And I wasn't looking at her as my mom, honestly, in that moment. I was looking at her as the woman that she is, the person that she is, and the young lady who grew up without a mom but became such a phenomenal mother. Again, she's not perfect, and we don't hold her to a statue of perfection. I believe all four of us allow her to be who she is. um and we honor her for that, because it helps us to um, be who we are. But it's funny when my mom says it to me sometimes. I remember the first time she said it to me, I was maybe like 5 or 7. And I, in my mind, I was like, what do you mean you don't have a mom? Like, you didn't, like, who doesn't have a mom? Because in my mind, I couldn't fathom, like, but how did you get here? And it's the mind of a child. And as I got older, there were different points and pivots in my life that God would bring it back up to my remembrance. as I'm watching her navigate mothering 4 children and then mothering all the other people. Because every time we go somewhere with my mother, she becomes everybody's mother. She comes back with 52 children every time, every single time. If there's only 30 people in the room, she's coming back with 52 people because, people just gravitate to that mother in her. Um, so I'm glad that she had the opportunity to flesh out what she was feeling through this book. And in a little bit, I'm going to have her share a page or two from her book, from whatever chapter she would like to, for her to read a page to give us some insight into that. But I'm going to give her a minute to get it to find that. And in the meantime, I'm going to jump back to Michelle. I find that writing is for me is a major outlet. It allows me to express myself. I'm learning to write without regret. I'm learning to write in pen without crossing anything out, and freeing myself. Because sometimes as a writer, you'll write something and then you're like, no, I don't want to say that. No, like, no, I'm not ready. And you're actually wrestling with your own truth. You're actually wrestling with yourself. But I've gotten, because sometimes we don't want to see what's on the paper because then we're acknowledging really what we feel. But I've learned how to pause in those hard spots. And I find that those are the places that we really need to write, because those are the things that are going to be most effective to those who are reading it and those who are called to our voice. And if we're not being our authentic self, we aren't able to help people fully, to the capacity that we can. We have an amazing platform in writing, and it's a blessing to be able to share. So I just want to encourage us to continue writing. And if you out there watching, take time to write down what you think, what you feel. And don't be afraid to share it with someone, because I promise you, if you're going through it, somebody else is going to experience it. And this is how iron sharpens iron, and we are able to strengthen one another. So if you're not journaling, I encourage you to start doing so. So again, welcome for those who may have just joined to the Bravo with Sheila Network. It is my favorite night of the week, Thursday night, because I get to spend it with you all here. I am your Thursday night host, Lady Dawn B, and I am always grateful to host in the captain's chair on tonight. We are sharing with two of my ladies that I love, my she authors, Michelle Roach, who is the author of Simply Love, and Pastor Rosa, aka Mama Rosa, who has collaborated in a book called Letters to Our Moms. So I want to leave space for Michelle now, as she was sharing on Simply Love, to read a piece from her book so we can experience the power of her pen. Are you ready to share with us one of your poems, Michelle?
Well, first, I love pencils.
Okay.
I'm a pencil person, Got that little eraser on it, so I can.
You reached the pen point yet. Okay. I respect it.
Okay. Take me. Love me as yours. Let the sun set when you're loving me. Leave the wise outside with the world. Just hold me, slowly caressing me, with a desire strong enough to help me. Forget that tomorrow may never be the same. Take me deeper inside your love. For a moment, I want to believe in what I feel. For a moment, I want to love you totally. Feel my love as it surrounds you, pulling you deeper and deeper inside of my heart, for that is where you will stay forever. Though the sunrise may find you walking away, you remain embedded inside of my being, a desire throbbing as hard as my heart beats, longing, wanting to know your love again. But if only for a moment, a minute, a mere second, you were mine, enough for a lifetime.
All right. We're going to snap it up. Snap it up. All right. Now, Michelle, come through just a little, All right. I was going to say I feel Jesus, but that wasn't Jesus. I feel
No,
Jesus.
And it's so funny that you should say that because, when we write books, people want to put them in their library.
Mm-hmm.
And so a young lady, she was excited. She said, I want to get a copy of your book and we can put it in the library at the church. I said, no, I don't. No, I don't think you want the children.
So you gonna make them have an adult section in the church bookstore. That's what you...
No, you don't want the children to say, hey, mom, dad. No.
That's not the kind of simply love that they're ready for that.
No, I don't want the pastor on Sunday saying we need to pray for somebody. So,
Listen, you know what? Well, we had a comment. Pastor Sheila said, beautiful, beautiful. I love poetry. And I'm learning more and more how to release my pen, in that meaning letting it flow from right where you are, from that place that you're in. Because that in your book, the flow of your book and the heart of your book is the tempo of this poem that you shared with us tonight. And talking about simply love, you said in this poem, for a moment I want to believe. Child, listen. Okay, my God. Yes, ma'am. We've all, I think, been in that spot and in that space where just for one moment, you want to believe that who you're with and what you're feeling and what you're experiencing is just real, and it may not be, for every, like you said, I think in the poem you mentioned about, you may get up tomorrow, you might leave tomorrow, but today, in this moment. And I think that speaks a lot to us living in the moments that we're in. I know that's not the total premise of the vein of your poem, but it does express that even in that, we grown here on the Bravo with Sheila platform. We keep it wholesome, we keep it real. We have to learn how to live in the moment and embrace that moment. But to me, it also speaks to the fact that we go through so many hardships in relationships, so many moments of deception that we become so tired that you just like, listen, I don't even want to think. I know you're lying, but I'm not even going to think about that right now, or I know that you're cheating, but I don't even want to think about that right now, because sometimes we just need that one moment to embrace for ourselves. Am I understanding your poem right? Am I feeling your heart? What brought you to write this?
well, it just goes back to what we had talked about earlier. Is it easy to separate being in love from knowing that it's time to walk away? You need to have that time. In this particular poem, I'm saying just for a moment, I want to believe that what we had was what it was, and what we're going to be tomorrow is going to be. Because sometimes, when it's time to walk away, like we said earlier, we may need to walk away, but you're still holding on. You're still you're still holding on. It's
tight grip.
You got to walk out the door tomorrow and say, okay, but I held on as long as I could,
Till the moment. Till the moment.
Yeah, I held on, and like you said, we were in the moment. He held on, I held on, but God is good, But again, it goes back to
tomorrow's another day, right? But
because what I find
for
is
today. Hold on a second.
Yeah, but what I find, like for today, and we had talked about this before, when I hear the word just, when it comes into a relationship, define just for me. When you're saying that's just. And the reason why I say I don't care too much for the word just is because was just used when you introduce yourself to me. I'm just so-and-so. I'm just Michelle. You're just Michelle. No, you say hello, you respect each other, day one became, 10 years later, but still I heard that's just my baby daddy. That's just my baby mom. No, respect that person because she
Right.
wasn't just your baby mama when you looked into her eyes and you all decided to,
Right. To
but
be adult, to be
yeah,
adult, to grown stuff.
that word
You,
just nah.
no, you're right. You are right. You are making a very excellent point. Hey, big brother Donald, up in the comments section. Welcome, welcome to tonight. We are sharing here on Thursday night with Lady Dawn B, with the She authors in the house. Michelle Roach just read from her book, Simply Love. She had an amazing poem with us, and we are so glad. You're gonna have to go back and catch the replay, bruh, to catch it because it's serious. It's some deep stuff right there, right there. And then we have our mother, Pastor Rosa, aka Mama Rosa, up here sharing from her book in a moment also. But yes, I agree. You make an excellent point, Michelle. Um, that applies to he's just my baby daddy too. Yes, she did say that. That was one of the points that Michelle made. Yes. And we use our verbiage, our words so loosely. It becomes commonplace that we don't really understand the impact and the implication of latecomers. That's right. Yeah, that's okay. You catching up. You catching up, bro, in live time. We live tonight. um but we don't think about the implications or the weight of the words that we use, and saying just, it does degrade, and it does take away from the value of the person, that you're introducing or that you're speaking with, that you're dealing with. So we have to be very careful about that, because you're right, I wasn't just her when we met, and so now, and I wasn't just her, as we went along, and I wasn't just her as we had an adult moment. And if I was just her, you should have told me from the beginning, because then we could have been even, and I could have been like, well, you just you too, but
That goes along with the word step.
yeah, we don't.
Please define step because I'm looking in, Webster's dictionary, and when you say step, it's not related to a child.
Right, right.
So that word just his cousin step, I'm sorry, just don't.
The
And
two, right, just a step.
people may disagree with me, but I
No,
thank God for a man who never, never, never referred to my son as a stepchild.
right.
It's again, it's a respect for that person. He met me. I had a son. It wasn't a surprise. And if you was going to call my son a stepchild, then see you later. You know how they say, see you later, alligator. So
Yeah, listen, see you later, alligator. See you later, dog, cat, giraffe, moose, whatever. But I'm with you. I'm with you.
Mama,
I'm with you on that.
God,
It definitely.
Mama Rose is in the house, so we don't want to
Oh, I wanted
cut up too bad.
Listen, Mama Rosa knew what she was getting when she got me. So
I wanted to say, Michelle, not that I'm being naive or anything like that. We read the Book of Solomon. We still trying to figure out who he was talking about. You know, um, but as you were as you were saying it, I was like, oh, she's not talking about Jesus. It's not a Jesus moment. But at the same time, what you said was so profound, especially for a person, a woman who has lost a husband, you know, and you think about, I just want to know that we did have something, you're gone, it's not it's not only about a broken relationship through divorce. I mean, you do want to know that too, but I think about, uh, I was married twice. Both of my spouses are deceased, but I think it's only one that I question. I just want to know because of all the stuff that you went through, with that individual. I just want to know when and for how long, because um there comes a point when you begin to see this change. So I want to know, that I'm not really a big fool, to think that I wasn't listening to my own self say, girl, back off, things are changing. But it is important, I think about women who have really lost a dear loving husband in marriage, to death. And that's it's very comforting to her. I just want to know. And then when she goes back in that moment in time, she has closure, you know that she could say, yes, we did have that. I think everybody wants to know that you did love me at some point, because you don't want to think that you were intimate with this person and it was just a booty call, a legal booty call. You don't want that, you know. So that was beautiful. It was beautiful, Michelle.
Y'all done got my mama on here talking about legal booty calls. This lady's something. This is a great conversation. Welcome, Landon.
Yeah, I claim the fifth. I don't know anything about, booty calls.
Legal or illegal? What you say? You don't know nothing about it. You ain't always saying. Don't play. Don't play.
I claim the fifth.
The fifth is some of the safest places in the whole wide world on this side of heaven. Landon says, uh, we don't play that half step. He said, okay, the comments is going low. Where'd he go? He said, we don't play that half step in the South, all in. Donald was responding saying, you're welcome because I never introduced my non-blood children as step anything. Amen. Non-blood. Listen, my kids are my kids. If I love you, I love you. Deborah Price says that's like she's just my friend. See, Deborah, don't start Deborah. That's a whole nother show. She's just my friend. We gonna have a show on the just. God reigns on the just and the unjust, but we gonna have a different show about the just. But it's true. We have to be very careful, and those are key things that we need to keep in mind, even as people are introducing us, because it speaks to how they consider us and how our relationship is with them. So that's really, really good and a great, great point and share, both Michelle and Mom. I want to switch gears for a moment because I want to make sure we let Mama Rosa, Pastor Rosa, get in here. And I want to also give her space because as she's sharing, she also looks at my grandfather did remarry. She remarried, my grandfather did remarry, and she's had other women in the place of her mom, as not stepmothers but just as mothers to her. So she definitely can speak from that space. And I know that had to also have an effect on her in even writing this book and separating, not having a tangible knowledge of her mother who birthed her, but having a tangible experience with the women who would later come in her life in that mother role. So I want to ask her if she would, at this time, if she's ready, read us a page, give us some insight into your book, to share with us the page. We don't want to give it all away because we do want our authors to be able to share their information, so that if you are wanting to dig deeper into their books, you have the opportunity to reach out to them to purchase it from them. We want to help support our fellow authors. So, Mom, I'm going to yield my mic and let you go ahead and share from the page. Tell them what the chapter is, and go ahead and share. Thank you.
In co-authoring, we each had six chapters, and one was beginning, one was my rock, one was sacrifice, life lessons, thank you, and legacy. Sorry. And I'm going to go from one point to the other in sacrifices. Since I was the last child, many times growing up, I thought of Maybe my birth could have had something to do with your illness and eventual death. Yes, I know it's not true today, but I could not help but wonder if there was anything that you suffered with being pregnant with me, or even all four of us, that was life threatening. I think about the similarities of my being 18 when I gave birth to my first child, and you were 19 when you gave birth to your first child. After my experiences with my first child, it was only natural for me to think about you having undergone some problems during your pregnancies and giving birth. The questions had not completely vanished. I still ponder on it. Motherhood is a lifetime of serving the needs of a child from the womb to the end of life for either the child or the mother. Motherhood is not temporal as some might wish it were. Motherhood is a lifetime of dedication and total sacrifices to the needs of the children we birth and encounter problems with. Motherhood is the greatest act a woman will ever perform, and is a sacrifice that only a mother can understand. Mothers not only have to be alert of their own mental and physical health, but she must postpone, even neglect her needs and her dreams to take care of the needs of her children. Mothers hide their feelings to keep from hurting their children's feelings. She has trained her ear to listen even in her sleep to hear her children stirring in the middle of the night. She can distinguish her child's cry from the cry of all other children, even in a crowded room. Once a mother, always a mother. Motherhood never stops. It simply adapts to the changes based upon the need of her children as they transition from birth in her womb to arrival in the world. Most of all, motherhood is a beautiful, life changing experience where a mother will surrender her body, giving ownership to her unborn for 9 months. She regains it only to surrender it again with the next for the next child. Today, mothers are fighting for the right to choose not to have a baby after they have conceived a child. Some mothers, some women are fighting for the right to abort the life of a child that deserves to live, whether they want the child or not. These type women are looking at the wrong side of sacrifice. They want to sacrifice the life of the child so they can live, as opposed to making the sacrifice so that the child can live. They put more value on preserving their body and being able to express their sexual desires over the life of a child and the right of the child to have the opportunity to live. I want to thank you for saying yes to giving me the opportunity to live. I want to thank you for not considering yourself when you found out you were having yet a fourth child. Thank you for sheltering me and loving me beyond any risk that you might have to face to give me life. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to live, to become a mother to my children today.
Wow. It's just wow, is all I can really say. Um, so much in those pages. And that is just a portion of what was written. Um, Bravo. Sheila says, bravo. She's giving you a bravo, a whole bravo, heartfelt. And they had mentioned earlier, wow, hidden feelings. This was um, so heavy, so full, and just you bearing your heart in the way that you did. And again, this is why I say it's so important when we pick up our pen to write, and don't be afraid, to overcome that hard place. Salute, salute, Edna. Multiple generations tuned in. Dope. Yes, yes. Welcome everybody. That's right. We keep it live over here. We got something for everybody here on Bravo with Sheila. We all need the knowledge. If we don't come into this type of a cipher, um, to discuss, the things of life, then how are we going to really, how is one generation going to get better than another? How do we evolve? So it's important that we do. But again, thank you, Mom, Pastor Rosa, Mama Rosa, for sharing from your book, and from your heart. The fact, the comparison, I would say, when I had my son, naturally, my mom is here, and I only have one child. Thank you, Jesus. That was enough for me. The whole experience was tumultuous, but we made it. He's 21 now, and I have not been to jail, and he has not been to the hospital on my account. So God is good, and I'm saved for real. I love him to pieces. We had struggles, but I'm saying that to say she made a comparison of, in writing this, thinking about how she had her first child at 18, and she was born to her mom being at 19, right? Um, well, she was pregnant, being pregnant. My grandmother being pregnant at 19 and having that experience, and then my mother having her for being pregnant with her first child at 18. Not having her here to help her navigate what that journey was like. When I think of me at 18, and when I think about, I got pregnant with my son, I think I gave birth to him was like 32, 33. And I know what I went through, whole adult, fully grown adult, had lived life, had some life under my belt. And that was at, like I said, 32, 33. And so I can only imagine, when I think of myself at 18, if I would have been pregnant at eight, I would have poked a hole in my wrist, probably. It's just because I don't think I was nowhere near ready. When I think of me, so I'm saying that, I'm joking, but I'm saying it because the pressures and the weight of navigating pregnancy as an adult, I can only imagine how much more it is at 18 and 19 and at these young ages. I know how much I needed my mother, and I'm the youngest of her children. Um, you know, and not having that at that age, because at 18 and 19 we don't have the experience, we don't have the knowledge or the wisdom or the understanding. So to be able to navigate that space without having that guidance of her own mother, yet walking this similar path, is just incredible to me. um and not being able to get that relatable connection from her mom. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What the comparison, I didn't go back all the way. The the strength of the comparison was the fact that my mom died so early, and I had my first child when I was 18, and I almost died giving birth to him. So that's where the strength of the comparison, so I was um thinking about what possibly she was sick, all the time, because she was 26. And so young even then, 26 is uh so I was comparing, I was still thinking about um her death, and I really didn't um I didn't really get over that fear until I had actually passed the age that she was when she died. I mean, that's what fear does, and you don't really know all those secret things that we think of. So that's where the strength of the comparison was, that I almost died, giving birth to my first child.
Wow, that is major. And well, thank you for making it. Thank you for that. I thank you for making it. I wouldn't be here if you. I mean, I'm glad you lived for you, but I'm even more happy that you lived for me. But that is, it is an amazing comparison, through birth and death and the repetition, thereof. There's 25 years between me and my mom. So knowing that my grandmother passed at 26, you know, that is, it's heavy to me right now as I'm thinking about it, because I'm saying I could have very well been repeating what my mother experienced, having gone without her mother, you know, because I would have been one, you know. So it's amazing how these cycles or things cycle back through our lives. But it also is amazing how we can be the ones in the generations to break those cycles also. You know, the fact that she lived beyond the age that my grandmother was able to see, and she had four children just as my grandmother did. And you know, it's just an amazing blessing. And it just, it is so much for us to think about and to consider, you know, and to be grateful for when we think about the losses that others have experienced, yet they've bloomed into such amazing people. You know, I get in this situation, and it's, I'm not gonna, it's not off topic, but it's just another perspective of it. I get a little frustrated, or a lot of frustrated, I'm being truthful, with people who say, well, I act this way because I'm not a good father because I didn't have a father. You know, and I'm sorry to say that I feel like quite often that that is a cop out. No, you want to continue to live in your hurt, which is why you are not being a good father or a good mother. Because truth be told, if you have enough knowledge and enough wherewithal to say the things that you were missing from the parent who was not there, thinking of all the things that they didn't do when you didn't get and you didn't have, when you have your own children, those are the things that you should want to give to them first. Because, and then, you know, I've heard the excuse, well, I didn't have it, so I don't know how to give it. Well, this is where you're acknowledging what you didn't have, right? And you don't know, find it. But mommy said, Google it. This lady's a piece of work, y'all. But it is amazing, you know, how we have to stop using. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's not real, that the place you're in is not real and it's not legitimate. Yes, we need to acknowledge that, but you have to navigate your way through that, you know, so that the little boy or the little girl, a lot of us grow up with a mother and a father and we still end up messed up, you know. So it's really what you glean and what you take from that. Like I said, my mother, it still blows my mind sometimes that, you know, I have to remember she didn't have a mother to go to say, hey, how do I do this? And even in doing that, sometimes like my son is about 29 people in one. And there's some things that I encounter with him that she can't navigate me through, because out of her four children, she's never experienced that. But there are still plenty of things that I take from her that I'm able to apply to my own child in a different way, because we're all not the same, you know. But thank you, Mom, for sharing from the place in your book. Michelle, I want to give you space to comment and share on what Mom said, what she read, what are your thoughts and feelings?
First, I think it was powerful. You know, we all can relate with what she spoke about. As she stated, I just recently lost my mother.
Mhm. Yep.
And as you said, as far as a role model, I'm just going to put it like my mother and my father didn't play. Okay. As a school teacher once told me, shut your lip and drop your hips. Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. My school teacher told me to shut my lips and drop my hips. And those who go way back know their parents didn't play. But I respect them for everything that they brought into my life. My mother, oh wow, was a powerful woman. And you know, sometimes we'll pull back, but it's good to know that there's somebody who's going to pull you forward. I think
Yeah.
sometimes we don't want to remember where we were, but it's very important that we do remember. I made a promise that I would never never not share with my children the walk that I had. Because if I didn't, and they went the same path, then what? It's lessons learned that you can share. And I just thank God for what she shared, because again, we can relate to it. I can relate to it. As far as my mother and me being a mother, and yeah, I think you need someone there that you can connect with, be it a brother or sister. I know sometimes you say, I don't have, but somebody around you do have. And it's very important to have people in your life that say, don't worry, I got you. You have to feel as though somebody has your back. And we all know who's going to be there. Whether we talked about it the last time, God is with us. If don't nobody else pick up that text or pick up that phone call, God, hey, he might say, oh, that's Michelle again, but he's going to pick up. And I just thank him for picking up, because I've called, quite a few times.
Yeah, his line is never busy, never
Again,
ever
what she
busy.
shared was powerful, and I thank her for sharing.
It is amazing. And I hope everyone is enjoying and has enjoyed the two portions that have come from these two amazing ladies, opposite sides of the spectrum, but equally impactful. And tonight they've given us, through Michelle's poetry, they have given us the point of respect, which is so very important. Um, Deborah Price at Fisher Bay said, I love the way you queens honor your mother and father as it is written. Amen. Amen. Listen, I believe the word of God solely and fully and completely. And when it says to honor your mother, it didn't say agree with them. It didn't say you had to like it. It didn't say you had to like them. It didn't say none of that. It didn't say nothing about your feelings. It said honor. And so, because I would like for my days to be long upon the land, I'm going to do just that. I believe I have done just that.
But Don,
Yes, ma'am.
we talked about the power of words.
Yes, ma'am.
My mouth got me in a whole lot of trouble.
Oh, Lord. Lord.
I had to learn to shut my mouth, because it got me into a lot of trouble, with mom and dad and grandma and, sisters and brothers. It got me in a lot of trouble. So, yes.
You were sharing. You were vocal.
Yes, lesson learned.
Right. You had to respect your mouth. You had to learn to respect your mouth. But we learned through respect. And again, through Michelle's poem, just one of the most amazing lines for me was, for a moment, I want to believe. And again, just wanting to embrace the moments that we encounter in our lives. Allow yourself the grace to embrace the moment. Some of them may never come again. So sometimes we have to live in that particular moment that God, that short window or that long, whatever it is, uh, you know, just allow yourself the time. You owe it to yourself to experience and believe. If not nothing else, but for that moment, that one moment that you believe, it'll spark some hope down the line. So thank you, Michelle, for sharing that. And Nate says this has been great. And then thank you, Mom, Pastor Rosa, Mother Rosa, Mama Rosa, for sharing from your book, a portion from your book as well. And again, the comparison of the timeline and the experiences, that she encountered. Yes, Deborah, it's amazing. And it causes us to look back over our lives and be grateful for those of us who have parents or have had parents. My father's passed away 17 years. Again, he was not perfect. My parents were divorced. But, I say he may not have been the best husband to my mother. I don't know. That's not my business. But I'll tell all the time, like, don't talk about my father. Don't talk about my father. He was the best father that he could be, and we have to, that he was capable of being. And we have to, what part of Mom's story really leaves me with is that we have to learn to accept people in their capacity and don't set our expectations of them beyond what they are built to withstand and to provide. When we have that mother or father figure in our lives, let's honor them. and be grateful for them. Give them grace, the same grace that we want to rest in, give them grace. And I want to leave space for these ladies to have some final words. I'm even going to share on tonight. I'm going to end it with sharing from a poem. After listening to them, I wanted to share. I wasn't sure whether I was really going to share or and what I was going to share, but I'm going to end it with a poem that I think is appropriate that I wrote in one of the books that I co-authored. Um, but I want to leave them both with their final words and tell us how others can purchase your book, so that we can help support you and get your book out to others, as well as use it as a tool in our own libraries and in our lives, to help us to grow. So Michelle, tell the people how they can reach you. What is your handles? How can they purchase your book?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank you for the invite. For the invite, I appreciate that, and it's always good to see Pastor Rosa, aka you know, my Rosa mom, my mom.
That's your mama.
Yes, and thanks be to God that was through Clubhouse. We didn't meet until we got to North Carolina, but I just thank God for that connection. But as far as my book, it's available on Amazon. It's under Michelle C. Roach. And again, it's simply love. It talks about from the moment your eyes met my eyes, and to the day that we said, hey, it's time to go separate ways. And thanks be to God, when we separated, it was not positive. We made the decision, but what was important was our children, making sure they had what they needed. And I just thank God for that. Today, we're still friends. We're still friends. I can call him and nag him, and he might want to hang up. But I just thank God for the relationship.
All right, so she can be found at Michelle C. Roach on Instagram as well as Facebook. You can reach out to her to purchase the book. And we had a comment from Renee that said, my father would be so thankful to my brother and godfather for how they nurtured me as a father figure. Love you, Daddy. Oh, honor to your dad. Amen. 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 I'm amening like we in church, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a church girl. I'm a preacher. I can't help it. Landon Price says, I like the mind state in that stage/age of life, being the youngest. I experienced my mother at a different stage than my older siblings. Yes, I understand. My older siblings' growth. Very important. We learn moms from each other. Yes, 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 and yes again. And yes, so that's Anae's comment also. Um, I can agree with you, Landon. I really can. I know I learned my parents from a different angle than the other three. There's 6 years difference in total between me and my oldest brother. So yeah, the concept that by the time they got to me, I think they was tired. They was just, they had already been worn out. So I was real peaceful. But Michelle's book, Simply Love, you can reach out to her at Michelle C. Roach on Instagram as well as Facebook. You can reach out to her, purchase her book, come and read about this. Is not don't put it in the church bookstore unless you have an adult section there. It's all right. It might help some of the married couples or some of the engaged. I
Don't
don't know.
don't leave it around for the children. You don't want them sitting here saying this is a good read. No, no, just yeah.
Right?
Keep
Don't write your book report on it.
no, no. It's rated, so please don't.
But if you want something real and experience and talk about love and relationship, her book is definitely for you. Come on, Mama Pastor Rosa, Mama Rosa, come share your handles, have your final words, tell the people how they can purchase your book, ma'am.
Well, Michelle, I'm gonna purchase your book, but not before Sunday because I have to preach. I don't want nothing to interfere with my mindset. um, I wanted to say, also to you, Dawn, you said that I had yes, I had stepmothers, but there's only one mother. There's only one mother, and you leave space for her. And I had loving um, stepmother, or just loving mother models, but, I was like, no, I'm going, nobody takes the place of my mom, you know. But my book, you can get, you have to email me at finrosa07@gmail.com. I order them like 6 at a time. So when I get 10 orders, then I'll order the book. So it's Griffin Rosa, Griffin Rosa 07 at gmail.com.
All right. You heard it here. Griffin Rosa '07 at gmail.com. You can pre-order the book. You can reach out to her as well. Again, she is one of 3 authors in the book, um, Letters to Our Moms. And you will be able to be blessed by all of their experiences and readings. And yes, bonus moms are important. That's what I call them. I don't call them step moms. It's just a bonus mom. You know, it's right. Got an extra. The bonus is great. Bonuses are great. We all look forward to the bonus. But bonus moms are great and amazing. And I want to thank you both for sharing on tonight. I want to thank everybody, Landon and Nay, Deborah, Von, Eric. I want to thank Bravo, my auntie Bravo, the queen of this network. Again, for always yielding this space to me on Thursday nights. I want to thank my brother, Minister Donald, for popping on. He will be back. We got some good things coming up. He's been on this platform as well, and we want to share. And we want you to like, subscribe, and share. We just celebrated hitting, I believe, over 500 subscribers on this network. Yes, come on, help me celebrate. That's a lot of work. Auntie Bravo, she gets a whole lot of bravos, is putting in work, making life happen. And we pray God continues to increase her territory and just keep bringing great content. And if you have not yet, I encourage you also, again, like, subscribe, and make sure that you share. You don't want to miss any of the good goods that go on within this network. We keep it real. We have real conversation with real resolutions because we want you to live your life really abundantly. That is our hope and our wish. And again, it's always a pleasure to be your Thursday night host here. I am Lady Dawn B. I appreciate you, Michelle. I appreciate you, Mom. I appreciate you, Auntie Sheila, again, just for allowing the space. It is amazing, and I love you guys. Always an honor to serve and bring you such great content and conversation. Don't go anywhere yet because I'm going to end with this poem, but I want to make sure that you lock into the Bravo with Sheila Network. Also, you want good word, great teaching, hop over to the Sheila Ingram Ministries channel here on YouTube. Oh, Auntie Pastor Sheila is always putting some good words, some good stuff up. You need a touch during the day, tap in over there. On Tuesday mornings, Pastor Rosa has her segment, a half an hour of the word at 10 a.m. It might be longer. I'm not sure. I'm at work, so I try to tap in when I can. But make sure that you get over there, like and subscribe and share the Sheila Ingram Ministries channel, as well as the Bravo with Sheila channel. Help us grow this network and get these great words and conversations out. We would appreciate it so very much. Von Eric says, great wisdom show. Much love. Much love to you, Von Eric, always. So as we end tonight, considering the conversations that we've had, the information that has been shared, we have targeted respect and forgiveness as 2 key factors that we can walk away with on tonight. All of this is about relationship and relating, and no man is an island. So I'm going to read this poem that I wrote, this spoken word piece. It was written in the book called Stepping into My Purpose. This is one of the first books that I actually shared my poetry in. I was a featured author as well as one of the poets. And this one is called Ripples. And I want to read it because after hearing the ladies express their experiences from their wells of life, again, it just makes me think and reminds me of the fact that no man is an island. We all affect one another. Even us being in this space tonight, we are affecting each other in our shares, in our support, and in our presence. So this is Ripples, written by me, Dawn Brathwaite. It says, we are so much more than a single life. Everything we do causes a ripple effect, just as a rock skipping on the water. Its motion, its interaction, its engagement causes the still water to move due to the force behind it. And just as that rock skipping on the water, so are we, a force behind someone else. Everything we do causes a ripple. We cause a motion of force with our choices, effect or affect. Which will you be? Will you be the verb and influence? Will you be what produces the change in someone or something? Or will you be the noun? Will you be the result of the change or the influence? Either way, effect or affect, we are tied together, responsible for one another, bound by the strings of life we live each day. What mark will your ripple leave behind? Will the world notice you're gone? Do they even know you're here? That we are here? The world is in need of ripples of change. People are in need of ripples that will heal their pain. We have to make sure our ripples, whether effect or affect, ensure that things don't remain the same. That is Ripples. It is in the book, Stepping Into My Purpose. I wrote that thinking along the lines of how we need to, how we affect one another and how we need to make sure that our effect or our affect brings about positive change in the lives of those we touch. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. You guys have been amazing. You can continue to share the replay, come back and watch it. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, help us build this channel to 1,000 subscribers. I see it, I believe it, I feel it. Bring a friend, grab a snack, get your cool beverage, and let's chat. Thank you for joining us tonight. We will see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. right back here. Guess what? I'm bringing back my brother and my friend, author for part 2, author Gregory Bloomfield. If you were on the first time, he came and shared his new book, Spirit. I promise you this book is amazing. If you missed it the first time, go back to the Bravo with Sheila channel. You can go find the first one and watch it. But he will be back here on Thursday night. He just came back from a book tour in the UK, and I can't wait to have him come and share the balance and tell us all about it. Until then, have a blessed rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Be encouraged. We love you and have a good night. Hang tight, ladies.
Telling the kick rock, skipping the country square like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my ditty boots. Hey, don't stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'm gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'm gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me Evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with peasant needles. So lethal, made Shane Black wanna write a sequel. Cause I snuggle my dream till it's seen as illegal. And I still probably will, cause I can never give up. I got my goals calling me, how could I never pick up? Either we make up or just break up. And the same kids get to wake up. Yeah, selfish, I'ma cake up if I don't shake me to wake up. Let my depression catapult me to succession. Shine a light on my imperfections like a projection. Every struggle and lesson, your issues ain't your oppression. Never got